And I think I'm going to go get an ear piercing because I just feel like a piercing. I really want a tattoo, but those are crazy expensive.
I know. Part of the reason I don't have one is I just can't. I've never justified the.
That's exactly why I don't have my whole body tattooed, actually. It's
like,
just
I'm not
justifying.
against them. I have some that I would easily get.
Right.
It's hard for me to be like, ooh, I want to spend $200 on this.
I have essentially two, full sleeves planned. Mm-hmm. And just I can't justify spending the money. Mm-hmm. A piercing will scratch the itch. Just like, I need to hurt. I need pain today.
Oh.
It's literally it. It's like, I need to be in pain for a little while.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That's what I do in my mouth.
I know. I knew you would get it.
I'm not even entirely mad about my burning cheek. I'm just confused. Welcome once again to Noah's Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
I'm Hillary.
And I am Josh, aka the Ghost of Christmas Presents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we start... Shut up.
No, it was your reaction. I thought that was funny. You're like, whatever.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with a good one.
It was good.
I came up with a good one, but I moved it to my sentence.
Okay, I accept that.
So, do you have anything you'd like to remark upon, hits and miss style, from any recent episodes? The Hebrew Hammer just came out.
It did. And I'd like to publicly announce that Josh just saved my ass by editing the Hebrew Hammer.
Uh-huh.
Hillary recently had an accident with an adult.
Whoopsies.
I had an ups and with an adult beverage in my laptop. And suddenly was without a way to edit, so Josh swooped in, saved the day, and did a great job. I love it. It was a very, very good episode.
Yeah, it was solid.
It was solid, and the editing was very good.
Episodes are always one of those funny things when we're doing them, where sometimes we're done, and I don't feel like it was very good.
Agreed.
And then you hear it again, either through editing or through its release, and you're like, oh, okay.
That wasn't terrible.
That wasn't so bad. I like this.
You know, while we're talking, I'm like, I'm a moron. And sometimes when I'm listening, I'm like, I'm a moron. But I'll edit some of that.
Magic of the editing. Day.
Exactly. But still, it is always a little bit better than I expected it to be. Which is a good life lesson, really. Believe in yourself, damn it.
So, let's talk about, Hillary, what we are doing today.
Today we are doing a trash heap called Saving Christmas.
Kirk Cameron month continues.
Ugh.
It's right before Christmas time, and we're gonna learn how we can save Christmas from ourselves.
Is it continuing, or is this the first one of Kirk Cameron?
Continuing. We have the master last week.
Oh, God, right. Thank you, brain, for deleting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what did you just say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I guess the idea is we're saving Christmas for ourselves, from ourselves. Ourselves being the Christian audience of this movie.
This movie.
Yeah.
Just threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
It took some hard turns that I was not expecting. And not in a fun, like, oh, this is a surprise way. It was more like, what are you getting at? Like, who's the enemy here?
Yo.
When going into this, and I feel like saying a movie called Saving Christmas by Kirk Cameron gives you an idea of what it's about. And in my head, what I thought it was going to be about was him bringing, putting the Christ back in Christmas and taking it away from, the corporations and the, pagans trying to say that, and all that stuff. But no.
Yeah.
Shockingly, we'll get to it, but that's not what this fucking movie is about.
But since part of the gimmick here is to describe it in one sentence, you were just playing almost directly into my one sentence.
Please tell me.
Which is this. Capitalist propaganda covered with a thin and obvious veneer of defending Jesus.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So let's go for the movie. And we'll get through it as best we can.
Yes.
As calmly as we can.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do some breathing exercises here and there just to keep myself. You know what's fun about the Fitbit? I can see while we're recording what my heart rate's like. And I think I'm going to have some peaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, some spikes.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Kirk Cameron opens us up, and he's sitting in a nice, comfy chair in one of the most ostentatiously Christmas decorated rooms I've ever seen.
Right.
It is over the top.
It is.
But that's his
Have you ever seen, like, the covers of, like, Country Living Monthly?
Yeah, exactly.
Around the holidays?
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
He could have used a Martha Stewart in this situation. She likes to do some more minimalist things with some class.
Which still look amazing.
This just looks like Macy's threw up in his living room.
But Kirk proceeds to tell us how much he loves Christmas. And to do that, he just literally lists everything in the room.
Long enough for me to black out.
Yeah, including his fucking beard.
Mm-hmm.
I love Christmas lights. I love trees. I love this chair. I love my winter beard. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
He's literally looking around the room and just naming the things that he sees. And it goes on for way too long.
And if you've just started this movie, and this is your first scene, and you don't get a clear and obvious sign of how much a waste of time the 75-minute movie is going to be, with nothing to say, what else would give you this indication? He starts with a list of things in the room
We're watching somebody in mental decline. He is losing his fucking mind. Like, this whole opening, it's he is either on pills, or his brain has been eating itself for the last few years, and this is just possibly the last time we see him in public before he's completely crippled by dementia.
He doesn't do a whole lot anymore.
Maybe that's why.
So, he also talks about how he thinks Christmas is super special, and because it seems like everyone has a sense that there's something about Christmas that indicates that something big happened. Yeah. And everything is going to be okay.
He says we a lot in this.
Yes.
But he means I. Because all of his statements are not general, like, we all agree on this, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's literally he's saying, I feel this way, but he's saying, we all feel this way. Mm-hmm. Like, you are not speaking for even everyone in your community. Like, these are very specific things that he's naming, like, ways of seeing the world. And I think he thinks that everybody has had the same experience he has had, maybe. Let's move on. He's garbage.
Kirk Cameron sucks. But he also points out that some people just want to put a big wet blanket on all of this Christmas stuff. They don't want us to love Christmas so much and celebrate it the way that they do. They do being Kirk Cameron, who says we a lot, talking mostly about him and his ego, who seem to be the primary drivers of this film.
Correct. The two main characters, Kirk Cameron and his ego. He
quotes them as, don't sing so loud and keep your private stuff inside.
Oh, I have my one word for this movie.
Yeah.
Imaginary gatekeeping.
It's a hyphenated word.
Hashtag imaginary gatekeeping.
There you go. And that quote, don't sing so loud, keep your private stuff inside, that's supposed to sound unreasonable, but literally all I want in life is for people to sing less loudly and keep their private stuff inside, unless I ask.
Stop, yeah, right.
Like, it's not that complicated.
Yeah, well, he's saying he's making two mistakes here. One, he's trying to make that sentiment sound unreasonable and like unfair and crazy. Which is a mistake because, again, I think that's very reasonable to ask people to, like, shut the fuck up when you're at the presence of others. Like, be considerate. It's more like, just be considerate of other people. But also, he's creating this, like, there's two types of people. One of half the world is like, hey, keep your joy inside. Blah, blah. I'm like, I have literally never said that to anybody or heard anybody say that to anybody. Right. Most people do not give a fuck what you believe or what your holiday is or what you're doing for your holidays. Yeah. No one's trying to stop you.
If someone tells you,
trying to keep you from overpowering all the people around you is not putting any kind of restriction on you.
Right.
It's just, it's mostly tied in.
It's mostly tied into this idea that people, say that a lot of Christmas traditions are not actually based in any way around Jesus, which is 100% true, by the way.
Right.
And he takes this as a personal attack.
Yeah.
It's like, literally no one cares.
No one cares.
It's just a statement. If you're going to be like, Jesus is the real thing of Christmas. No, he's not. He's not. It's a different holiday.
The way we celebrate Christmas, is an amalgamation of several different,
No one cares beyond that. Most of those people celebrate Christmas themselves.
Yeah.
And those that don't are fine. No one's burning down your Christmas party out of spite because no one gives a shit.
Right.
So it's like, what are you upset about anyway? So he complains about people who tell him that all the images, the characters, and traditions of Christmas have nothing to do with Christmas and may as well be tossed in the trash because, in his words, it's all bad. And
nobody said that.
He dramatically takes a moment to sip from his empty mug of hot chocolate.
He's bad at fake drinking. I feel like that would be in acting class 101. Mm-hmm. Acting 101. How to make a cup look like there's liquid in it.
Mm-hmm. It's part of how you hold it. It's also not just showing the camera the cup, which he does multiple times. He more or less flips it.
He shows you that it's empty. Then he takes tiny sips, making it like if there were liquid in it, the liquid would have to be the very top for him to get any in his mouth with the stupid tiny fake sip that he does. Mm-hmm. Ugh, we're harping. But Jesus, it bothered me.
Well, it's very obvious, and it's the first few minutes, and it's really bad.
We are starting so weak.
Also, you could just fill the cup.
Put water in it.
Put anything in it.
Anything.
So you're a movie. This is not a stage play.
Yeah,
you can put actual liquids in cups.
Good job with that.
My favorite example. I think I've told you this before. Remember we were talking about Barry and the cup incident?
No, who's Barry?
The HBO show, Barry.
I love HBO. Okay. I mean, I love Barry. I do love HBO, but I love Barry.
So you may not know this, but Stephen Root is like his friend and partner in that movie, in that show. There's a scene where Stephen is at a table and he's eating a lot. And in movies and TV, you have to do scenes a lot. Right. So he keeps having to stuff his face with all this food because it's part of the thing. It's the setup for the scene. Right. And Bill Hader's supposed to come in and also, engage at the table, right? Right. And apparently, on one of the later takes, Stephen Root gets really, upset in a funny way. But he's like, I'm not leaving this fucking table until he eats something. So Bill Hader came in and decided, I must clearly eat something. Right. So he comes into the table, Stephen Root's eating again, and he pours himself juice and drinks the juice. And he's Stephen Root is so mad, but he's amused. It's the son of a bitch.
I'm so madly in love with Bill Hader. I can't even talk about it. And I think he's separated from his wife right now. Time for me to move to Hollywood. I'm assuming that's where he lives.
But that's all a barely related story to you can put stuff in cups in a movie. You constantly see people drink stuff in movies.
You can even do that in a play.
You can do it in a play. I understand the riskiness of it at that point.
Yeah, there's a little bit more, yeah.
But fake eating takes me out of things.
Actually, let's not talk about this movie. Let's just keep talking about his inability to drink out of a cup.
Okay. So he says, maybe we need a voice to remind us of the true meaning of Christmas. Maybe we did lose sight of the real story. Maybe we got it wrong. Or maybe we're listening to the wrong people. These are all the options he's giving us.
Right. But all of this comes down to, listen to me. My voice will tell you.
Exactly. Because he has one final choice of ours. He says maybe, just maybe, someone like Santa Claus is actually on the team. The team being Christianity. Right. And so now we cut to the intro of the movie. And I just want to preface that whatever else is coming up, because I need you to remember, I write these notes in real time and almost never go back to change them. But this is one of the most disjointed, pointless, and incoherent rants I have ever heard. Yeah. I used to watch Alex Jones multiple hours a day.
Alex Jones, this rings of Alex Jones. Yeah, it's nonsensical.
This makes less sense than most of what Alex Jones has to say. I mean, not factual sense. Right. But just the connectedness of it all.
No, yeah. Remember, I guess this would be last week. Remember last week when he was trying to explain how we know that Adam and Eve existed? Yeah. It's exactly like this. I'm that, there's no...
Yeah, those aren't connected thoughts. You're not even saying things.
It's not even like he had a little bit of, a logical... Mm-hmm. I can't even explain it. There's no words to explain how disjointed it is.
It's a series of thoughts. Yeah. Vaguely related to Christmas.
Yeah, but done with a smug smirk. Yeah. Smug.
And with enough
Kirk smirk.
Enough genuineness that you almost, for a second, could think he was saying something. Yeah. Until you actually listen to the words and try to interpret them. Right. I could literally get all the dialogue from this movie, and you may be able to pick all of the words together to make a coherent narrative.
This movie is a cry for help. I hope he has a psychiatrist.
So, when we get to the movie proper, The utter nonsense of it begins to be laid bare right away, because we see a growling and rugged old man who is warned that he's here by a younger woman. Wielding a shepherd hook that looks very much like a candy cane, he walks through the snow as Kirk narrates about how stories are tricky things and have changed over time, because as we've progressed, though of course Kirk would never claim we've progressed, we've taken out some of the more fucked up elements of stories, like how the fox eats all the animals.
Yeah, and this is again where he starts talking about we and me and I, where he's like, and like everybody, we all begged for stories to be told as children, and when we got older, we read our children the same stories, but we took out some elements. I'm like,
the fact that the fox eats all the animals in Chicken Little, or that Cinderella's sisters get their eyeballs pecked out.
That's my favorite. I love Grimm's fairy tales.
I'm into it.
I read the originals as a kid. Like, I loved that fucked up shit. No. Hansel and Gretel is scary as fuck.
The Chicken Little story that I had in my little fairy tale book as a kid.
Yeah.
I had an entire little book that is more or less what I learned to read on. It was all that sort of stuff. I had the version where the fox wins and eats all the animals. Yeah. And I had the version where the woman makes a deal with a cow, who makes a deal with a pancake, who makes a deal with a rope to hang a dude. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know that one.
It's like it's supposed to, I guess, teach you vocabulary.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
like a cat wants a mouse, yeah. And so the cat makes a deal with the dog who will chase off the thing, and the dog makes a deal with the thing who will do the thing.
Right.
And it ends up with a rope making a deal with somebody to hang the butcher. Because the cow wants to not die from the butcher.
That's amazing.
So it's this huge chain of events that ultimately ends in a lynching.
Dude, like...
from a sentient rope.
That's amazing. Why does that not become a movie? Where's that Disney remake?
But I had a book like that. I loved it, and I didn't even realize it until I was older and saw it again.
Dude, well, I mean, it's historically children's stories and books are terrifying. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of one of those, it's supposed to be teaching kids lessons and doing it in a way that sticks, and there's nothing better than scaring a child into behaving properly. Especially anything that came out of Germany. Oh my god. They were the kings.
When you look at German history, you're not so surprised by German history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the further you go back, you're like, oh, you know what?
And little has changed.
Yeah, I'm like, I understand these people better.
It all makes sense. Yeah, I got a lot of German in me, apparently.
So, Kirk also laments how we've tamed our bad guys and our heroes. But he claims that stories we tell are real, and they also shape us. And that we are even in a story right now. And how we enter it matters. We cut to a different scene where we see Christian, one of the characters of the movie. The second character, really.
Really the main character.
Yeah. And he bursts through the door, and that's when the proper introduction to the movie begins. Hillary has a lot to say.
Which is a sweet ska version of Silent Night.
I got it right. I wrote ska version of Silent Night.
Yes, I find.
I'm not the music guy, so I was like, I think I know this.
I'm like, oh, finally, something I can enjoy. I rocked out to it. And actually, the opening animation, they did like an opening animation with the ska music. Yeah. It was really cute, and it was really well done. I loved the style of it.
Yeah, they could have just made this movie, and that would have actually been acceptable.
Remove Kirk Cameron.
Remove Kirk Cameron's entire presence.
Make it animated.
If there's one thing we can confirm, sight unseen, it's that Kirk Cameron had nothing to do with this intro.
Oh, without question. Yeah.
Because it's
good.
Everything else in this, he clearly has his touch on because it's awful.
I'm pretty sure this is where, like, you know, the guy who plays Christian, the arguably main character, is the director and writer of this. Yeah. He's also mostly done music videos before this, which is very obvious because of his choices. But maybe that's why this is good.
And the awful ending to this movie. Let's move on. We cut to
foreshadowing.
We cut to a Christmas party. But the guy who has been on screen, Kirk Cameron, and has been narrating the movie so far, is now introducing us to his sister. He says, "That's my sister," his narration.
Yeah.
And then himself, literally, "Hey everybody, that's me."
Yeah.
Because what happened here, I guarantee it, is someone, Kirk Cameron, saw someone do this in a movie and failed to realize that the narrator who was pointing themselves out was either the first scene of the movie or at least their first on-screen appearance. Mm-hmm. But they're like, ooh, I really want that in my movie. But they weren't smart enough to realize that in the context that it's in, where we've seen Kirk Cameron.
Yeah. He's already introduced himself.
Idiotic. Why would you say it's me? We just saw you 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, we know it's you. We've only heard your goddamn voice.
and we saw your
fucking
face first.
I know. He's such an idiot. Also, that's his real sister.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
They look nothing alike.
Not even close.
Yeah. Although he doesn't really look like Candace Cameron either.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe we've uncovered something there.
But anyway, his sister is married to Christian, the guy who burst through the door earlier, and he's just being a big old Scrooge because he's not really that into Christmas. Now, let's be clear. He's not doing anything to anybody.
He's just sitting.
He's sitting quietly, and he's just not enjoying the Christmas
So did
party.
you notice the shadow on the chair?
No.
My brother was watching with me at this point. He goes, looks like he peed on that chair. And I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. Because it does. It looks like he peed on the chair.
That's funny.
It's like right directly below him, like a stream.
That's funny.
Anyway.
No, I hadn't noticed that. He's not bothering anyone. He's just sitting quietly in a chair in the party, and he's sort of picking his teeth and having a dull time. But that's how Christmas parties work for a lot of people who don't like parties or Christmas.
So far, he is me. He's the one representing the audience for me.
Right.
And especially when it's just like, it feels like there's more kids than adults.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nightmare situation.
Mm-hmm.
There's just it's chaos. It's loud. I don't like it.
Yeah. But Kirk's decided that he has a new mission. He's going to make this guy love Christmas just as much as he does, because Kirk wouldn't be Kirk if he didn't insist that everyone think exactly the same as him, no matter how ridiculous or inane it is.
Right.
We get more narration, and it talks about how Christian sees the world, where others see happy children and holiday cheer, he sees spoiled brats and pretense and obligation.
Yeah, you're not turning me off to Christian so far.
Yeah, he sounds like, he's 100% right. I like Christmas fine. You like it a lot.
I love Christmas, but none of these thoughts are wrong, and I've had them before, too.
Yeah, that's all 100% true. I don't want to go to a Christmas party. It's usually bad.
Forced Christmas, forced family gatherings are never a good idea.
Ooh, I want to hang out with your kids. No, I don't.
No,
I don't even want to know the name of your kids. I don't want to see them.
No, this is a lot of our anxieties talking, but it's true.
But we get a bunch of other shit about how he sees the world, but who cares? It's going to come back, but we don't need to know all of it. Christian is approached by the only black person in the movie, DeAndre, and this might be the most stereotypical character that we've seen in a movie we've covered so far.
It was hard to watch.
Clarence from Brother White was embarrassing for everyone.
Right.
This guy gives him a run for his money.
Yep, you're right.
The
only black person in the entire movie, right?
Yeah.
And I looked it up. This is the only thing he ever did. I think he's like a friend of the director or something.
I actually know who he is.
Oh, do you?
Okay. This is a complicated chain, but it's pretty simple.
I'll follow you.
Kirk Cameron has Way of the Master.
Right.
We've covered it. Way of the Master helped found or is a significant partner in a show called Wretched, hosted by a guy named Todd Friel.
Okay.
He is a former comedian who's not funny, but thinks he's really funny.
Christian comedian?
Yeah. He's really tall. He's really religious. He's a terrible person and an absurd human. This guy, DeAndre, used to be a producer on his show, Wretched.
Okay, wow. That is a chain link.
I know that because Wretched also has a TV series, which we will probably have to end up doing one day.
Okay.
And he would occasionally show up on screen.
Gotcha. That's not even on his IMDb. This is the only thing on his IMDb.
Yeah. But that's what his name? His name is David, right?
I don't remember.
It might be David.
I looked it up, but I didn't look it up.
Yeah. But
that's stick.
Yeah, why would it? But to explain why he's such a stereotype, right? He is always talking very quickly and incessantly. And he ends every sentence with, ha ha.
Yeah. No, it's true.
It's so bad.
Can you do his voice?
I can do
because it's so stereotypical.
Yeah, it's got that sort of black preacher staccato to it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how you doing there, Christian? What you doing today? Here's the thing I want to tell you about the thing that we're doing at work. Susan said to Karen.
Yeah, and
it's like, fucking stop it.
My heart rate's going up. I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and that's not how this guy talks, by the way. I know this.
Oh, right. You mean the yes. Actual actor?
Yes. So they're doing a part, and it's like, why would you participate in this?
You gotta know.
Like, I know you're friends with Kirk Cameron. You gotta know this is a problem. But you can't.
Yeah, no.
Come on. But that's fine.
It's fine. It's short.
We get a montage of DeAndre just running his mouth for several minutes as Christian clearly just wants him to stop talking.
The way they choose to show that he's checked out is they play Christmas music over DeAndre talking. Which doesn't make sense because... Why
would Christian be thinking of Christmas music when he's not into it?
Right. Like, it would be one... if he just started going like, blah, 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 or something like that, or something solemn came on, Because it's supposed to be like the inside of Christian's head, he no longer hears DeAndre speaking.
Yeah.
Instead, he's thinking about other things.
Let me make a very mild defense that might be the only defense I make of this movie.
Go.
Maybe what they're trying to do is there's probably Christmas music playing, so he's just tuning out this guy with something else he can hear.
Maybe, but
it's like when you're just like, I'm going to listen to this instead.
Yeah, it did, because it was like a different... It didn't sound like it was from the room, you know?
No, I know. I mean, I'm trying to like...
No, okay, no, I'll take that. That's a...
But it's not...
It's at least a possibility.
Yeah, it's not demonstrated by the competence of the directing.
Right. Okay, cool. We're on the same page on that then.
So, DeAndre ultimately leaves, and Kirk now pops around the corner because he wants to reach out to old Christian because he's struggling, and Kirk thinks he can help him. But he finds him, not in the chair he's left, but he's outside in his car. And so Kirk Cameron climbs into this man's car completely unbidden.
And the way he's just like, don't worry, I'll find him. He like hunts him down. Mm-hmm. From Kirk Cameron's point of view, this guy wanting solitude is ruining a Christmas party.
Yeah. Like, if you're not in there with everyone else, there's hundreds of people in there.
Right.
Dozens.
Leave him the fuck alone. He's working some shit out. Like, you don't have all the answers, and his point of view isn't wrong. Mm-hmm. It's just not yours.
Yeah, and then he opens up the man's car completely unasked.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna get in your car now.
I mean, it's his brother-in-law, so...
I know, but still.
Yeah.
I'm just open my car. Like, that's the sort of thing, if it's me,
yeah,
I leave the car, and then I lock it from the inside. And I set it on fire.
I would like to be alone, please.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to be alone in my car.
Yeah. Also,
car.
He lives there, so why didn't he just go to his room?
Yeah.
I would have just gone upstairs to the bedroom and like watched a movie or something.
Yeah. Watch some porn.
That's you. I probably would watch. Yeah, that was you speaking about what you would do for sure. I would go watch Home Alone.
So, once Kirk is in the car, Christian goes on a bit of a rant about the commercialization of Christmas. But he doesn't want to spoil the mood because he loves his wife and she loves Christmas, but he just can't imagine that all of this, the trees and the people and all of this is what God would want. And he points out, among other things, that Jesus wasn't even born in December. So, like, how does that even work?
Yeah, they really talk about that a lot.
Yeah, they talk about it a little bit, but I don't think they ever actually address the fact because it's true.
Right.
But Kirk scratches his winter beard pensively because he's winding up for his big pitch.
He's got the smile on his face. He's like, man, I'm about to tell you.
Mm-hmm. And what does he say? He says, when Christian's done, he says, you're right. Or not you're right. He says, it's all wrong. Christian's like, yeah, it's all wrong, man. Like, what's going on? You're all wrong.
You're all wrong. Everything you're saying is wrong. And with a smile, and he's just like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Smug.
So,
we are going to call it the Kirk smirk from now on.
Yeah, it's the Kirk smirk.
Yeah.
So, challenged to explain how the Christmas party happening inside is reverent to God, Kirk is happy to stand up to the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's time for Kirk Cameron's Story Hour, and we're going to start with nativity scenes.
Yeah, which I thought was I say nativity. He says nativity.
Oh.
And a very pointed is nativity.
And you say...
I mean, maybe that's right, but I've always heard nativity.
Oh. I don't think it really matters.
I kept hearing it as nativity in like a negative way.
I think I say it nativity.
Do
but
you?
That's because I say native with a strong A.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, but...
So that's all. It's just nativity.
Nativity set. I don't know. Whatever.
But I'm not gonna I don't know.
It's not that important. It's just like, I wrote it down as N-A-Y-tivity.
Nay.
Nay. Ixnay on the tivity.
I mean, I don't have a very pronounced accent as is, so maybe my nativity and nativity. Oh, I see it now, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I say nay. But now I might be saying it because I think that's how I say it.
I understand.
Kirk explains to us that nativity scenes aren't valuable and amazing just because of the sweet baby Jesus being born, but also because of the story that he was born into. Going back to his...
being in a story.
Yeah. The child was born into a world where the world power wanted to kill him just for being born. And allow me to explain this in case someone who's listening is not aware of this version of the Bible story.
Right.
To preface it, it's completely absurd and absolutely untrue.
Okay.
But the story is Joseph and Mary have to head to Bethlehem, where Jesus was supposedly born, for a census that required that everyone in the world, or in the kingdom at least, had to go back to the home of their ancestors. And then when Jesus was born, the King Herod, was threatened by the Messianic legend or something, who knows, right. And he ordered the execution of every male child under 2 years old, just to make sure that he could get Jesus. As we know, Jesus didn't die here, so it's a miracle. The whole world wanted him dead, and he's alive. Mm-hmm. Allow me further to explain how we absolutely know this is untrue, because none of this fucking happened. A census, there's 2 points, primarily.
Yeah, okay.
A census of that magnitude that required people to leave what they were doing to go to their ancestral home to just be counted for a census would have destroyed the entire civilization and wouldn't have even been physically possible for the most people.
Right.
Because traveling that far requires resources that not everyone has. And even if you did make them do it, your economy is destroyed.
Right.
Your town is destroyed. Everything is ruined.
Right. You can't hire a babysitter or anything. Like, there's nobody to watch your sheep. You have your animals. Yeah.
It makes no fucking
Crops.
sense. And it never happened. And such a thing could never happen.
Cool.
Just logistically. And the Massacre of the Innocents, which is another thing that never happened, that would be one of the most significant events of ancient history. Mm-hmm. We hear about Nero burning Rome. We hear about Alexander the Great taking over stuff. We hear about... We have
recorded history.
We have recorded history on the Greek and Spartan War. We have recorded history on almost everything important that happened.
Right.
You think the complete slaughter of every 2-year-old child in a region of the world would just... It's just one of those things that happen sometimes.
It was passed down.
We just murder children.
Right.
All of them.
No need to jot that down. We'll tell you through word of mouth.
Like, it's weird how there's nobody between the ages of 35 and 37, huh?
A lost generation.
Like, really, nothing.
Right.
It's just so fucking stupid to believe that happened. But in case you're really credulous and you want to think that such an event in a time where history was pretty well attested to somehow happened, let me tell you further that this whole account of the birth of Jesus happened in the Gospel of Matthew, one of the books of the Bible, who also has a nice, fun example in Matthew 27, where after Jesus' resurrection, zombies flood the city and hang out with people for a while.
Shut the fuck up.
It's true. I think it's 27, 51, 52, somewhere in there.
Really?
Yes. He says, when Jesus came up,
He brought friends?
He brought friends. Essentially, it says the saints rose from their grave and went into the city for a time.
So he had a re-birthday party?
It's just this...
Hold on, sorry, that was funny to me. Jesus bringing his homies from beyond the grave for a re-birthday party.
And now all 3 of those events are not mentioned in any of the other 3 Gospels or any other part of the Bible.
Matthew is very creative.
Matthew is very creative because Matthew is very clearly trying to write a messianic story using old, prophecies and making sure Jesus fits every one of them without question, despite the fact that he made up at least these 3 events whole cloth.
Right.
They are fiction. The zombie thing would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing.
You think no one would have written down what the fucking zombies had to say?
The zombies
not just Jesus.
Zombies killed them.
Not just Jesus came back to life. Dozens, hundreds of people came back.
All the historians' brains were eaten.
And they're just like, meh. Yeah. No big deal. That happens all the time. It's just... Oh, man. So Kirk Cameron buys into this obvious myth.
Right.
Because he's an idiot. But he also wants us to believe this obvious myth, and that the story is significant because of the fake story surrounding it.
Right. Just like Jesus came from, or Adam and Eve existed because Jesus came from Adam and Eve.
Right. It's 100% the same idea.
Right.
And I know I just talked for a long time, but I wanted to emphasize.
No.
This is fake. This is not true.
Right. That's a good platform for us to build the rest of this movie on.
Right. I didn't make him put the nativity scene in the beginning, but I do get to tear it down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's telling this story while the camera is on a rock, right? Is it that part? It's like he's in a cave. We're like, let's look at the nativity. Let's take away Joseph.
Yeah.
Let's take away Mary.
Yeah.
And then you're just looking at baby Jesus on a rock. I guess the rock is the manger because they're in a cave.
Yes. And then he uses
It
the
looks
rock.
like a cave that's riddled with bullet holes, too. Because it's just, like, light coming in like, little circles. And then he's like, and then just out of nowhere, he's like, let's take away Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
What are you left with him? Like, the rock? He's like, the swaddling cloth. I'm like, where the fuck are you going now? Like, what? It's so insane. Mm-hmm. He's on drugs.
What's the swaddling cloth have to do with anything? Do you remember?
Because it's at the beginning and at the end for Jesus.
Right. Because, see, at the end, when Jesus is resurrected, his body's not in the tomb.
But the cloth is.
That he was wrapped in.
Right. So he's wrapped in a cloth as a child, and then he escapes the cloth after death.
Yeah. So it's like, oh my God.
That is such a stretch.
It's supposed to be all connected to Christmas, but no one bothers to even make the most tenuous of connections.
No, this whole movie...
Like, you had a cloth... when I was born, they also put me in a cloth. And when I die, I'm also going to have, a blanket or something on me.
Clothes when I die, probably.
So clearly I'm Jesus?
We all are.
I guess.
We all have a little bit of Jesus in us. This entire movie was written with a corkboard and yarn.
I'm having such a hard time even remembering it.
Yeah.
It's so fucking... Like, I remember it. I'm having a difficult time being comfortable with the fact that I remember it.
Right.
The fact that this movie is in my head now makes me want to shoot myself.
Really, I'm glad I took notes, because a lot of it's not in my head anymore. I have little flashbacks of like, oh yeah, that's when he was talking about that bullshit.
Yeah.
Christian, of course, is blown away by this nonsense because he is as credulous as Kirk hopes the audience is. Because if no one in the movie believed it, how could the audience possibly?
Right.
It's all fiction, but whatever. We go back inside for a diversion, where DeAndre and one of his friends complain about the war on Christmas and continue to talk nonsense.
This scene baffles me.
I don't understand what it's for.
It's just two guys having a conspiracy theory discussion in the middle of this movie for no reason that never gets brought up again. Nope. I have no idea why this scene is in this movie.
They talk about the Picasso Code as opposed to Da Vinci Code, and how fluoride in the water causes Asperger's. And then they talk about the New World Order.
No, they literally they just mention a laundry list of conspiracy theories.
Yeah. For nothing.
For nothing.
It's to break up the monotony of watching two dudes in a car.
But yeah, I mean, if that's the purpose, you did cut away from the guys in the car, but there's literally no reason for the scene to exist. It doesn't do anything. It's not for anything, and it doesn't make any sense.
They even cut off, in a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
They begin to formulate a plan about what they're going to do about the New World Order or whatever, but before they tell us, we go back to the car with Kirk smirking and Christian.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it ever gets brought up again.
No. Spoilers, it never does.
Right.
There's no resolution to this very strange... It's not long, it's 2 or 3 minutes, but it's what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I was just perplexed.
So, that's the movie we're watching. And this is, again, why I'm having such a hard time getting through this thing.
Right. I
don't even have a lot of notes. I'm just having a hard time
I know. I'm struggling as well. Don't worry. This is, solidarity.
Okay. Now, Kirk is challenged to explain what Christmas trees have to do with anything. And of course, once again, Kirk is happy to accept the challenge. And he says that Christmas trees are mentioned in the Bible, and it's in Genesis. Duh.
Yeah, because God made trees.
He says the entire Bible begins in a tree lot, because the Garden of Eden was full of trees. But the two most important trees were the tree with the knowledge of good and evil, and the second most important was the tree of life. But Adam ate from the first one, and he was thrown from the garden alongside the entirety of his family and his descendants. A rational response.
Right.
Anyway.
God is good.
God is so good that he cursed Adam's entire family line, which includes all of humanity.
Right.
Because of something Adam did. Good old...
Technically, something Eve did.
Technically something Eve did, and Adam might have done in a show of solidarity. Because, she did do it first.
Right.
And then she was like, eat this. He could have been like, I know we're not supposed to do this, but my stupid wife just did it.
Yeah, well, she's progressive.
Now
and she's a risk taker, and I like her.
Yeah, no, I'm not against Eve. I'm against the guy that decided that everyone needs to be thrown out of paradise because of something their dad did.
Yeah.
Whatever. So when we bring trees inside, we're embracing the great design of God or something. That's more or less what he's saying. It's incomprehensible, but that's what I took from it.
Right. Bringing
the trees inside is a reverent thing because God made trees. I don't know.
I got nothing.
We also make houses out of trees, so I don't.
I have no idea. And this is such a this is such a reach. It's shocking.
Yeah, but we're going back to Adam, and Kirk says that he stole the fruit from the tree with the knowledge of good and evil. And when you steal something, you have to put it back. That's just justice, apparently.
But that's not true.
Yeah, it's not how anything.
It's like you're forced to return it or something like that. I'm like, no, you're not. That's not how stealing works.
But he says, in this case, it was impossible to put the fruit back on the tree because Adam had eaten it, and he couldn't return it unless he put his whole body up on the tree. And because Jesus was the last Adam, and he was put up on a cross, which is made out of a tree, Jesus put himself, who was Adam.
Jesus is now the apple, and he has gone back to the tree. What the fuck are you talking about?
And
I cannot believe that this is his point of view. I can't.
I could only write one thing in response to this.
Okay, what is it?
Do you know who Jesse Lee Peterson is?
No.
He is a bizarre, crazy white ringer. He's a black guy. He's also very racist against black people. That's why I mention it. He's very stupid. When he is stumped by something, he just says one thing. Amazing. And that's what I had to write down, because it's been stuck in my head. And I'm just like, amazing.
Amazing.
Don't know what you're doing.
My jaw was on the floor during the scene. I'm just like, what is happening? My brother was there for this one, too.
Mm-hmm. What did you say?
We were just having fun riffing on the whole, the gif from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the meme with Charlie, with he has the conspiracy board or whatever. He's just like, you got Jesus. There's cloth. Mm-hmm. Cloth in, cloth now. Mm-hmm. Okay? Trees.
Yeah, you got a fruit.
Yeah, there's a tree, fruit. Adam, he takes that fruit. Jesus, fruit. He's fruit. Jesus on tree. Everything. Yep. Done.
Yeah.
Mystery solved. Yeah. Just insanity.
Yeah. And this is as far as I got last night before I completely crashed and could not continue. So everything else was this morning's notes.
Oh, now it's fresh.
Now it's a little fresher. So we're going to move on to Santa. They have a lot of banter.
Santa's got a lot of banter. Let's get into that Santa banter.
They do a lot of Santa banter about how Santa isn't in the Bible. And Christian thinks...
coffee talk.
And Christian thinks that he's won this one. Because that's the guy, Santa, that's obliterated Jesus, and the reason for the season is gone because of it. And he even says, think about it. Rearrange the letters. What you got? S-A-N-T-A. Santa.
Satan.
S-A-T-A-N.
Santa. Satan. Satan. Santa.
But he's like, you think that's a coincidence?
Conspiracy.
I don't. It's like, that doesn't make... You can't just... Actually, my favorite of these is a joke I saw on the internet once. Mm-hmm. It was, Auschwitz was a lie. You know how we know? You take the A, you change it into a CL. You keep the U. You take the SCH, you change it into a B. You take the W, you turn it upside down, you got an M. And then the ITZ becomes ED. Auschwitz equals Club Med. Disprove that.
Is that a real thing, or is somebody joking?
It's someone joking.
Oh, thank God.
But it's like, this is the sort of mental gymnastics.
You're absolutely right. Okay.
Like, we can tell the Holocaust was a lie because Auschwitz equals Club Med.
Remove the letters. Replace them with new letters.
It's just like, that's not how anything works.
Coincidence? No.
Okay. But Kirk, of course, has a retort. And he tells Christian that the real Santa was a bad dude. But that's bad in a good way.
How hip.
Jesus. So, he explains to us that the original Santa was a true defender of the faith. And we go back to that earlier scene with the grizzled old guy being told that he's here.
It's my favorite part.
Now, this is Nicholas. This is the real Santa. And he's a bishop who defended the faith against those who would deny the divinity of Christ.
Right.
He was also really friendly to children and helped the poor.
Right. So he might be a bishop, but he might as well be Judas Priest. This is that fucking rockin'.
Did you say that?
No, I did just now. Heavy metal Santa.
Okay, yeah. He's got sort of a beard. He's real intense looking.
Yeah, they have like this rock music playing in the background. He's extreme.
He's going through the town with his little shepherd's hook, and he's just looking like he's gonna tear the house down.
Right.
And so he fought his arch enemy. This is where he's going, to see his arch enemy, who is a heretic, who has claimed that Jesus is less than God. And he shows up at this man's table, and he menacingly quotes scripture at him.
This guy's a terrible actor.
The arch enemy or the Santa?
Santa.
Yeah. So just as you think, really? He's such a badass, he's just gonna quote the Bible at a dude?
Yeah.
He grabs this guy and he kicks his ass all over the place.
Murders.
He grabs him by his thing, he throws him off the table, he throws him outside.
Yeah.
He, suplexes him into the snow.
Yeah.
So Kirk tells us, over the scenes of a beatdown, that Nicholas was de-bishoped for this act. But he was so loved by the people that he was eventually reinstated to his position and even sainted eventually. And then, of course, Nicholas became the model for Santa around the world. The most relevant to our purposes being Sinterklaas from Norway?
No, I don't know. I can't remember.
Whatever. Point is, that's the real Santa, and that's supposed to make you be like, oh, Santa's cool, man. He's just like a representative for Jesus because he saved Jesus.
Yeah.
By beating up a guy.
And he listens to Metallica.
And he listens to Judas Priest.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Christian is devastated now because they've had 3 whole conversations. One of which was complete nonsense. The other 2 were one of which was complete nonsense.
Yeah.
One of which was conspiratorial nonsense.
Right.
And the third of which, okay.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. Santa's a dude.
There is some historical relevance to Santa.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't care.
I don't care.
But even if it's true, okay. Cool. I don't understand why this is...
Again, this is just Kirk Cameron talking direct. Well, I was about to say, it's him talking to his critics. And just anything that anybody could possibly criticize about how he feels about Christmas, this is him just coming up with explanations for it. But at the same time, I realize we can't even blame Kirk Cameron for this because it is written by the guy who plays Christian.
Yeah.
So this guy is as fucking bonkers as Kirk Cameron is.
At least enough to direct this movie.
Right. They are a match made in heaven. This is like the Matt Damon, Ben Affleck team of Christian movies.
Like, which one of you is responsible for this?
Right.
So Christian's devastated by these arguments, and he realizes that he's the guy in the story who's the jerk, and now he can't face going back inside. So he wants Kirk to make up some horrible excuse about how he's sick or he has a rash or something, but Kirk makes him head back inside so that he can be the jolliest, because the hardest thing to do is to make up for the fact that you did nothing to no one.
Right. Go acknowledge to your wife
that you weren't having fun at the party that she knew you wouldn't have fun at because you haven't liked Christmas for years.
Right.
You must fix this.
It's so stupid.
Like I said at the beginning, right? If the crazy rant at the beginning that was several minutes long and has nothing to do with anything didn't tell you what a waste of time this is, this part will, because Kirk telling him to go back inside is also a couple of minutes. It's like, how many minutes do you need?
So boring. It's so boring.
It's 2 guys talking
Editing is
car.
not a skill on display in this movie. There's so much that could be cut out. There's so much just silence.
I know. Just long periods of time where they look at each other.
Yeah.
I don't know romantically.
It's impossible to know.
It's the winter beards that keep it. You can't see quite the
Kirk smirk?
Yeah, so you're not sure if it's a sexy Kirk smirk or just a general Kirk smirk.
Yeah, his eyes always look the same, so you can't tell by his eyes.
Yeah, and soulless at that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Kirk doesn't have a personality. You can tell because there's nothing in his eyes.
He's one of those people that gets invited to a party once and never again.
So
you do not want to get trapped in a conversation with this dude.
But we get the scene again with Christian bursting through the door, except this time we see it through new eyes, just like Christian sees the Christmas party through new eyes. And so there's no more spoiled brats and fake Christmas cheer, but everyone has a genuine love for Jesus and blah, blah, blah. That's all I got.
Yep.
It was so hard for me to focus on this at this point.
Oh my god. And then the whole, he apologizes to his wife and blah, 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 and then Kirk Cameron... Go on.
Before he apologizes to his wife, he charges in after bursting through the door, and he crashes into the Christmas tree.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know. He's just like, oh, fucking Christmas. Yeah, let me go head first into the ground.
Because what they didn't show us in the car was right before they headed back inside, they took a couple bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
that would explain it.
Right.
DeAndre is in front of the crowd watching, and he embarrasses himself and us by extension by doing his black preacher gimmick.
Oh my god.
You know, he's like,
so embarrassing.
It's in the trailer. Anybody who sees this and wants to see how bad this is, watch the trailer.
Just watch the trailer.
Because he does it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's the Holy Spirit. Ooh, ah. And it's like, God damn it, I want to hit you.
It's hurtful.
And then Christian jumps onto Santa's lap. And this is when we get a slow-mo version of everything that's happening, where Kirk's sister is touched to find that her husband is now actually embracing Christmas. And
Another terrible actor.
Oh, awful. But Kirk narrates about how we need to make traditions of our own and infuse old symbols with new meaning. And if that isn't an accidental admission of the actual purpose of this movie, I don't know what is. He's like, yeah, we need to give old symbols new meanings. It's like, you just made a fucking movie about it. We know. Most of this is lies.
Yeah, I know. No, we don't, is what you've accidentally proven.
And then we get to the part that you were saying, where he apologizes to his wife.
Yeah. He apologizes to his wife, and then Kirk Cameron, because he can't let anybody else have a fucking moment, his voice comes over as a narrator again, and he's like, this is where you'd think that there'd be a nice kiss, and everybody would make up, but, and then Christian's like, what does he say? He's like, I came up with a hip-hop dance crew to explain myself? I don't understand.
I don't know. He asked DeAndre to turn on some music, and even in the one line of dialogue he has, he still embarrasses everyone, mostly himself, by doing his whole thing. But he's got some song by Angels on the Airwaves, or I don't know. Some band.
Angels and Airwaves is,
I know. I don't know.
Okay, that's one of the Blink-182 guys.
Angel and it's got Wave
two of
in
the Blink-182 guys, right?
Yeah, I don't know. But the name of this song or band has Angel and Wave in it. As far as I'm concerned, it's Angels on the Airwave.
Well, actually, like, this director directed several Blink-182 videos, so I need to look into that.
But what happens next? I want you to tell me what happens.
The most embarrassing thing I've ever seen on camera. I don't even... there's got to be something funny to say here, but I don't know what it is because I'm just so... I cringed so hard. I think my eyes were closed for a chunk of it.
I skipped it.
Oh my god. It is, once again, editing would have been great. A very, very long choreographed dance sequence with, I guess, just some of the random party guests all knew this dance. And it seems like it was choreographed by the woman in the front on the left. Yeah. Because she seems like the only one who knows what she's doing at all, and she's also, they're very white.
Yeah, I said it's just Soul Train, but for white people, and it's exactly as embarrassing as that sounds.
It's so embarrassing.
It's horrible. But they end this movie with a dance number, an extended dance number.
Long dance number, where eventually, this party has like 40 people in it, and everybody gets their moment to shine.
Yeah. And Christian and his wife dance
exhausting,
multiple times.
And it's so embarrassing, and I'm still uncomfortable thinking about it now.
It's
Kirk Cameron does the worm.
Oh man, I missed that part. I'm glad I did.
He gets a lot of height, which, like, he does the worm, but like, gets really high up there. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I can tell you I didn't like it.
Any way Kirk Cameron does anything makes
wrong.
It worse.
You're right.
Yeah. So that's clearly not how the worm's supposed to go.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I got on that one.
I hated it.
But then we get an actual final scene, and once again, because like you said, Kirk can't allow anybody to have any time on screen that's not him involved. He narrates over Christmas dinner, and he tries to tell us to embrace Christmas for what it is. A celebration of the eternal God taking on a material body. And he uses this as an opportunity to point out that makes it okay to buy material things for Christmas because it's a reflection of what God did by being made into a material form through Jesus.
Yeah. So
we can do it as sort of representative of that.
Yeah, this harkens back to a point that we glossed over earlier. At the very beginning when Kirk is infiltrating himself into this man's private time, and they're in his car, and Christian's trying to explain the problems he has with the season. And one of them, he's like, I think, I look at all the toys and all the toys that the kids play with for a day or two and never do again. He's like, I think, how much food could this have put on somebody else's table?
Yeah, I did leave that part out.
Yeah, he's like, how many wells could we have dug? Like, all this stuff. I'm like, that's a very good point. And Kirk's like, no.
We're supposed to buy stuff.
Yeah, we were just like, that's not the right way to think. You need to be thinking about buying more for your children because of Jesus.
Now, he does say, at the end part here, don't max out your credit cards. That's the closest to moderation thing he says.
Yeah, the closest
he does not
to moderation.
Say give to charity like Santa Claus did.
What the fuck was he talking about when he was talking about the presents looking like a skyline?
Dude.
What was that?
I zoned out.
I actually rewound. I was like, what? What? He's like, look at the presents. Look how they look like a skyline. I'm like, you are on so many drugs.
Yeah, after Christian crashed into the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
They drew a little sketch over the presents.
Yeah.
And made them look tall like a skyline. And somehow the skyline's supposed to tie back into the tree.
No idea. No guesses. I have no guesses as to what they were talking about.
It's complete nonsense.
Also, what was he doing sitting at the head of his sister's table? He and Christian were at both ends of the table, and she was somewhere in the middle. I would not allow my brother to sit at the head of my Christmas table. I love him.
Well, her husband did. And then she sat next to him, presumably.
She did sit next to him, but that's not how the heads of table work.
Yeah, I know.
I guess it does in a Christian household where the woman is subservient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has no lines.
We thought he's going to let his sister do it?
Oh my god, yeah.
I love your optimism.
I fucking hate this movie.
But yeah, so at the very end, Kirk takes a moment to defend capitalism. Like I said, that's why I said the one sentence was just
capitalism, consumerism.
He does not ever say,
because he points out Santa Claus was super great. Actual Nicholas was great because he was nice to children. He bought them presents and he helped the poor.
Right.
Kirk Cameron never points out that we should help the poor.
No, not one bit of this is about...
And normally I wouldn't be like, you didn't say you should help the poor. We don't say we should help the poor in every episode. But we're also not then making a similar defense of materialism.
Right.
Like, hey, we should go buy presents for everyone. Don't help the poor, though.
Like I said, going into this is not what I thought the message of this movie was going to be whatsoever. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And it just tells you this movie, if anything, tells you who Kirk Cameron is as a person more. I don't know what it is. Like, this has to be the one that really, this is how I see him. I see him as insane, moronic, and selfish, and egotistical.
That's all fair.
Yeah. And that's his character. Written by another man somehow.
So let's end it there.
Okay.
And talk about the best and worst of this movie.
Okay. I'm gonna say best was Ska Silent Night.
Okay, we have the same best.
Cool.
Do we have the same worst?
Worst is the dance sequence.
Worst is DeAndre's entire character.
Can't argue that.
I honestly,
yeah,
he needs some serious self-reflection. To play this part,
yeah.
Whoever wrote this part, first off, needs to seriously evaluate their approach to life and people,
right.
Especially black people. And the guy who played the part needs to apologize.
He was one step away from blackface.
Had he not had a blackface naturally, I guarantee he would have been in blackface.
He's kind of lighter. They could have gone darker just on his face.
So there is no doubt in my mind that had they not found a black guy to play the part, it would be Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
With blackface on.
Without, no, or like one of his family members.
Yeah. His sister.
Because also, in the end credits, it's only 2 last names, really. It's like all of their families are in this fucking movie. Except for Candace Cameron, who is too big for her britches. She's too famous to be in this garbage. Well, she added the
extra last name to
She was
her
too
name.
busy doing all the Hallmark movies.
Okay. So, let's talk about anything like this.
Okay.
Is there anything like this?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not actually like this.
Yeah, I know. Nothing's like this.
Right. Nothing, thank God, is like this. We might have spoke too soon. Maybe there is something else. I don't want to know about it. Don't tell me.
Don't tell me. I'm not going to see it.
Right. I mentioned it last episode, actually. Or not last episode. I think in the Hebrew Hammer, maybe?
Yeah.
don't watch this movie. Instead, watch Ernest Saves Christmas. Because he actually saves Christmas from an actual bad guy.
There you go.
And it's fucking great. And I need to rewatch that this year, actually. I think I'm going to watch Ernest this year. It's been a while.
Perfect. Yeah, I just said watch a real Christmas movie. It'll put you in the spirit, and it isn't filled with Kirk Cameron's stupid smirk and obvious and ridiculous lies.
Yeah.
I really like The Nightmare Before Christmas and Die Hard. So watch those.
I love Die Hard. Home Alone is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Home Alone's great.
Yeah. If you want to go classic, go like White Christmas. I'm not into The Miracle on 34th Street or It's a Wonderful Life, but a lot of people are. Watch those.
Yeah.
Literally anything else.
Anything else. Anything that's about Christmas will get you better into the spirit of it.
Right.
It won't just be a stupid defense of capitalism and materialism.
Right.
It won't tell you lies about the history of Jesus' birth, which first off probably wasn't even in Bethlehem.
Mm-hmm. It won't give Kirk Cameron a platform.
Yeah, it won't. Technically, we gave him like 40 cents. Think about that.
I know.
He can buy...
More than that, because we've watched more than one thing with him.
Yeah, I know. But this is on Amazon Prime. I assume they pay. Way of the Master I stole.
That's true. I feel better about that.
Yes. But now let's talk about next week.
Okay.
What are we doing, Hillary?
Next week, we're doing something called the Campfire. I know nothing of this. I do like camping and fire.
No, you don't. Not anymore.
Oh, no.
Did you know that there's a website called The Courage? And on that website, Kirk Cameron has a thing called Kirk's Corner. And he calls that...
His corner spelled with a K?
No. But he calls that The Campfire. And it offers a personal look at Kirk Cameron's thoughts about any number of things. How to raise your kids, whether they should wear Halloween costumes.
Oh my god.
Why Christians should vote or care about their health.
Fucking Kirk telling everyone what to do all the time.
And why the founding of America is so important to him, etc., etc. So we're going to go on this website. I'm going to find some of these things we're going to watch.
Okay.
I got a free trial to watch them.
I'm super angry about it already.
And we're going to watch some number of these. And instead of insulting Kirk's work through Saving Christmas or his Way of the Master show, we'll have an opportunity to insult Kirk Cameron personally.
Oh, yay! Well, that might make it worth it.
This is it's going to be less produced and less storytelling.
Right.
And more Kirk's actual thoughts, which means we can just insult him.
It's just him with a GoPro.
Just him with a GoPro. And isn't that a little bit more fun?
It is, actually.
Everything we say will be personally about him.
Yes.
No deflection.
No. I do like that, yes. Let's get mean.
Let's get super mean.
Okay.
And remember, if you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app or service you are using, whatever you're hearing this on now.
Yeah.
And also tell your friends to listen to the show, because we need the attention.
We love attention.
If Kirk Cameron can have a platform like this, why can't we?
We don't want to just be hollering into the void. We need people getting mad at us the way we get mad at Kirk.
That's right. Links to everything, including social media, are in the description of this episode, including the website where you can go to send us comments and questions. We are collecting them.
Yep.
For a nice big mailbag episode, probably.
Yeah. Maybe we'll spread them out, maybe.
Yeah. But as always, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, guys.
We love you.
We love you so much.
And bye.
Bye. Wait, I'll take this opportunity to pee.
Okay. Will you fill my water?
Sure will.
Thank you.
You want to try to practice drinking out of an empty cup? You have plenty of water. Why are you lying to me?